Hello everybody, my name is Tara and welcome back to the Three Bookshelves. Today I want to talk to you about how my year is going so far. So this does not mean that I am restarting my channel or that I'm going to be posting videos every week again, but I wanted to do at least one video to tell you guys how I've been doing this year, what I've been reading, what I've been writing, how my life is going, because, you know, I kind of had a baby. That's big. And I thought this was the perfect time to make this video because I have just finished my 50th book of 2019. 50th. As in 50. Just gonna give a moment for that to sink in. I just want to remind you of something that I said at the end of last year about how much I thought I was going to read this year. Honestly, I'm going to be happy if I get to even one of these books next year. If I can read one book next year, that'll be a successful year. One book. I had a goal of one book this year and I've read 50, which means I've surpassed my goal by 5,000%? Except not really, because my actual goal that I made on Goodreads at the beginning of the year was 15 books. I've read more this year in not quite 9 full months than I read all of last year. And this year I had a baby. So how did I do it? How? How on earth did I do it? I don't know. I had forgotten how much time I was going to spend breastfeeding, and the only thing I can really do while I'm breastfeeding is read. So that, for at least the first 2 months after my daughter was born, was the only time, or at least the most time that I got to spend reading, was when I had a baby on my boob. But it worked out well because I read quite a lot of books that way. Secondly, at night, I have been doing a lot of my reading at night after the kids are in bed and asleep because I don't have enough brain power left at night to do anything else like writing. I cannot write at night. It just doesn't work. So has always been my reading time, and that is true this year as well. I read at night. Another thing that really got me reading this year was the Book-a-mon Badge-a-thon hosted by Megan at Tome Infinity, I think back in April or May. That really pushed me to read a lot. Half because I loved the concept of the readathon, and half because there was this element of competition to it, and make anything a competition, and I'm there for it. And by the way, my team did win. Go Team Valor. I read, I think, 12 novels and 2 graphic novels, I believe, that month for that readathon. 12! 12 novels in a month. I don't remember the last time. I don't think I ever read that many books in 1 month before. I don't know how I did it. I'm never gonna know how I did this. Like, just one of life's mysteries. And the last thing that helped me get to 50 books already this year is audiobooks. Now, I want to remind you again of something that I said last year. I don't think audiobooks are for me. Yep, I got that wrong, didn't I? Remember how I said I spend a lot of time breastfeeding? A lot of that time was at night, in the middle of the night, in the dark, when I don't have anything else to do except sit there. And that's when I listen to my audiobooks. I've mostly listened to rereads. I've gone through the entire Harry Potter series, the Lunar Chronicles series, the Illuminae file series. I read completely on audiobook this year in the middle of the night, like 10-15 minutes at a time, while I'm nursing my kid. And it's been so great because it gives me something to do except just sit there in the dark thinking, and it keeps me awake, and it gets books read, and books that I love and that I haven't listened to on audiobook before. I mean, I've read the Harry Potter series at least 10 times, and this is the first time that I've done the whole series on audiobook. So it's been great to experience books that I love in this whole new way. And I think the baby's awake. Yep, couldn't give me 15 minutes. And here she is. This is Daphne. She is now 6 months old, and she's my little angel. Aren't you? Can you smile? Can you give a smile? Big smile? Little smile? Any smile? What? Oh hey, where's those toesies? Where are the toesies? So I do have more to say about reading, but I guess this is a good segue to the life segment of this update video, since this is the life right now, pretty much. She was born at the beginning of March, and it has been a heck of a ride. I knew that having 2 kids was going to be hard, but I think it's actually harder than I expected it to be. Sebastian has been such a great big brother. It took him a little while to come around. At first he was just indifferent to Daphne. He would just not pay her any attention at all. It was like she did not exist, which I guess is better than the alternative of hating her. He finally came around and now he is absolutely in love with his little sister. All the time he's saying, I love my Daphne. I love my precious little Daphne. I want to keep Daphne forever and ever. Oh, he just loves her so, so much. And she loves him too. She never stops watching him and he gets the most laughs out of her. I think that they are going to be the best of friends when I get a little bit older. Aren't you? You love your brother. You love your brother so much. He is out with my mom right now, or else I'd have him come on and say hi too. Maybe I'll keep everything set up so that when they get back I can get him on camera for a minute. So you're gonna hear some crinkling as she chews on her toy here, but hopefully it's not going to disturb what I'm saying too much. So back to reading. Out of the 50 books that I've read this year, 15 were rereads. Harry Potter, Lunar Chronicles, Illuminae Files. I read A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, The Night Circus, which I actually decided to drop a star from 5 stars to 4 stars. I just didn't love it as much this time around. Out of the 35 new books that I've read this year, I cannot believe that not a single one of them was a 5-star read. I'm so disappointed and so sad that I haven't gotten a 5-star read yet this year. And last year, I think I had 8 or 10? 8 or 10 5-star brand new reads. A few new favorites up on my favorite shelf. And this year, nothing. So in the hope of finding some 5-star books for 2019, I went through my whole TBR shelf on Goodreads trying to figure out which books might be a 5-star read. And I came up with 5 that I want to read in the next month or so. And fingers crossed, I will find a new favorite. Finally. Can I put you down for a second again so I can show some books? The first book is Obscura by Jo Hart. This is a sci-fi horror thriller. I don't know much about it except that it takes place on a space station and there's some kind of virus, I think, that is, you know, making people go crazy. And that hits so many boxes of things that I love. So I'm really hoping to enjoy Obscura. For fantasy, I went with Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is about a guy who is born into a royal family. He's a royal bastard, and he ends up becoming an assassin. Oh, this also has something to do with animals? Like does it say on the back here? It doesn't say on the back here. I think something about they can command animals or talk to animals or something like that. But anyway, animals. And right on the front here, there's a blurb by George R. R. Martin. I just noticed. It says, fantasy as it ought to be written. George, I'm gonna hold you to that. You know how fantasy ought to be written, George? In less than 8 years since your last book. I'm not salty about still waiting for Winds of Winter. No. Next is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This has been just getting so much hype on BookTube this year. As you can see by the little bookmark tail, I've already started this. It is a retelling, I believe, of Lord of the Flies. All-female cast, I believe. LGBTQ. And this cover! This cover! I know, everyone talks about the cover, but it's gorgeous. The next book I don't have yet. Let me move over so I can put a thumbnail up here. What is it called? The 10,000 Doors of January? The 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow, I believe. This is a portal fantasy, which, again, something that I love. I love going to other worlds and having adventures in other worlds and discovering other worlds. Brain power, I tell ya. I don't have it. Sam of... What's her channel name? Tome, something. Thoughts on Tomes. Thoughts on Tomes! Brain power! Sam from Thoughts on Tomes just reviewed this book and she really loved it, but she did say that it wasn't so much of an adventure in these other worlds that she was hoping for. So that made me a little less confident that I'm going to love this as much as I originally thought, but fingers crossed. And lastly, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, who of course wrote The Night Circus, which, as I mentioned earlier, it was a 5-star read for me the first time I read it. It's up on my favorite shelf and I've been waiting so patiently for another book from her. I'm so excited that she finally has one coming out this year, and again, hits so many of my boxes. It's about this guy who I think he works at a bookstore or something, and he finds a book that has... You never make this much noise. That has stories from his childhood, like stories of things that happened to him from his childhood. And then I think it's, again, a little bit of a portal fantasy going on. That's all I remember. I don't even care what it's about. It's Erin Morgenstern. I'm gonna read it. I think I'm gonna love it. Hopefully. Those are my 5-star predictions. I might do some kind of a reading vlog or like a review wrap-up of them once I'm done to let you know if any of them were 5 stars. I also want to talk a little bit about the best and worst books that I've read so far this year. I'm going to start off with the worst book. You really don't want this to happen to you. So this book, I'm very disappointed that I didn't love it because 2 of my favorite booktubers absolutely love this book and raved about it, and that is why I wanted to read it. This book is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Saenz, I think. I am in the, I think, 3% minority on Goodreads. I rated this 2 stars. I honestly do not understand the hype about this book. At first I thought I wasn't liking it because it's a very character-driven novel and I am a plot-driven person, but I might have been able to get over that if it wasn't for how horribly bland the writing style is. This was a young adult book, but I have read middle grade books with more sophisticated writing. Show versus tell is one of the basic rules of writing. You show, you don't tell. Most of the time. But this book just is all tell. Like literally, he's telling you what he's feeling. I am happy. I am sad. I felt angry. I felt mad. There were so many emotion words, but so little actual emotion. I've read reviews where people were sobbing, bawling their eyes out at the end of this book, and I didn't care at all. So here's an excerpt from this book. I picked up my journal and thumbed through it. I studied my handwriting. I had lousy handwriting. Nobody could read it but me. That was the good news. Not that anybody would want to read it. I decided to write something. This is what I wrote. I learned how to swim this summer. No, that's not true. Someone taught me. Dante. I tore at the page. The whole book is like that. It's just short sentence with like 5 or 6 words, and then there's just pages and pages of dialogue, like back and forth, a couple words at a time with all the white space. No attribution, no action going on. This book is like 90% dialogue. And it's not even good dialogue. Oh, it's just, the whole thing was so boring and so bland, and I would have DNF'd it. I absolutely would have DNF'd this book if I wasn't reading it for the Bookemon Badge-a-thon, and I wanted that rainbow badge. I wanted that rainbow badge. That was my worst read of the year so far. As you can tell, I really did not like it. I'm sorry if you did. I don't get it. But on a better note, the best book that I read so far this year was actually the second book that I read so far this year, and that is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. It is now called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, but I'm gonna keep saying The 7 Deaths because I liked this book so much better than The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which again, everyone worships that book and I don't get it. Anyway, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This book is like if Groundhog Day was written by Agatha Christie. Okay, she's in her jumper now. So where was I? Cozy mystery. Protagonist is a guest of this birthday extravaganza at this old, very atmospheric, very creepy manor house, and he keeps waking up in a body of a different guest, and he needs to solve the mystery of this murder using each perspective of each guest that he's in. Total mindfuck. It's so original, so brilliant, so captivating. The plot is so complex and tightly woven, and definitely confusing at times. You need a lot of brain power to read this book. Thankfully, I read it before I had a baby, so I was able to actually understand, for the most part, what was going on. This is a book that you need to reread because once you know everything, I think going back and rereading it and going through the whole mystery again, knowing the outcome is going to be a great experience. I will definitely reread this book. That's why I bought it. I originally had it from the library, but this is a book I wanted on my shelf. Absolutely loved it. However, I only rated it 4 stars because there were several big twists and reveals at the end, and I just thought it was a little bit too much. Like, I feel like one twist could have been taken out entirely, and then it would have been a great ending. It would have been succinct, it would have been satisfying, but having this whole extra element added to the story, I thought it was just too over the top. It tried a little bit too hard, and that took away a little bit for me. Still a 4 star, 4.5 stars actually, I would say. 4.5 stars of Evelyn Hardcastle. Yeah. And one last thing that I want to touch on in the reading portion of this update video is the Read D&D-a-thon that my friend Kaylee and I hosted at the beginning of the year. It was so much fun. I think it was a great success, and we will be hosting another one. We don't have any dates set yet. We don't have the whole concept set yet, but it is something that we want to do. It's something that we're both excited to do. I don't think by the end of the year, but maybe next year, maybe we'll just make this an annual thing. But when we are ready to host another round of the Read D&D-a-thon, we will have news for you on my channel here and on Kaylee's channel, The Enchanted Library. I'll link it up below for you. Up below for you? I will link that up below for you. Brain power! Now moving on to writing, I just wanted to talk a little bit about writing since I did writing vlogs back in November during NaNoWriMo. In November, I wrote 15,000 words towards the second draft of my novel, which I thought was a great success. That was the goal I set out to reach, and I did reach it. And I thought that without doing the weekly vlogs and come January without doing weekly videos at all, I would have all this time in January and February to write, and maybe I could even finish the second draft by then. It didn't happen. At the end of November, I ended off with a total word count of 77,489 words. So since then, in the almost year since then, how many words is my second draft now? 77,082. Yeah, I somehow lost 400 words. That's not really fair though. The reason that it dropped is because I had come up with this new way to introduce one of my main characters. They're going to come in quite a bit later in the story than they did originally, so I had to take out like 3 scenes that just aren't going to work anymore. I will rework a lot of that, but they had to be taken out. So if I count those, then it's 82,688, which still is terrible. Like, I made 5,000 words of progress in the last 10 months. I have been working at it a little bit at a time. It's more big concepts, big ideas instead of actual word count, which is fine because it's still progress. Progress is progress. It doesn't have to be words. It can be ideas. So I'm really happy with that progress there. Other big news in my writing life is that there's now a writers guild in my city, and I was able to get in on it just as it was being started. So I've been there from the very beginning. I haven't been able to do very much with the guild itself because of time constraints, but there is a fiction critique group that I have been in, and that has been so great. Not only to get my work critiqued, I've had one of my chapters critiqued so far, but to read other people's stuff and to get back into editing in that sense, because editing is something that I've always loved doing, and it's always been something that I would like to pursue professionally later on. This is reminding me of how much I love doing that, and it's made me want to really pursue that once the kids are a little bit older and I have the time and the chance to pursue school again and to really launch a career. So I think that's about it. We covered reading, we covered writing, we covered baby. Anything else I can talk about? So thank you so much for watching. It was great to sit down and talk about books again. It's been so great to talk about books again. Seriously, can you give me 1 minute? What was I even saying? Let me know down below how your year has been going. Okay, you want to come up? Can you turn around, please? I don't want the back of your head to be the last thing these people see. So where was I? What was I saying? I think I was asking you to tell me what your favorite book of the year was so far. So do that. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Ow! Ow! This video is a hot mess, isn't it? Okay, we better just wrap this up. Thank you again for watching. I hope your 2019 is going awesome. Say bye-bye, Daphne. Bye-bye. Until next time, happy reading. Bye. Here's Sebastian. Say hi.
Hi, Daddy and Mommy.
And who else? It's other people who like reading books, just like we do. Do you like reading books?
Yes.
Yes. What's your favorite book?
Susie and the Toby Moose.
Susie and a Toby Moose? Do you love your sister?
Yes, I do.
Yes. And how much do you love Daphne?
I love her and I love her and I love her and I love her and I love her.
That's a lot of love. I love you. And I love you and I love you and I love you. Thank you.